Just 1 week ago, we had an incredible season opener at the virtual Daytona International Raceway. It wasn't quite a photo finish, but just about the entire field wrecked, and it came down to one driver swooping away with the victory. Now, for the first time, the Prodigy Racing Association takes on a short track, the virtual Richmond Raceway, for 120 laps of short track action here in the SimPulse Legacy Truck Series. Welcome back to PRA on FTN. Qualifying's on the move, and we currently have ourselves 8 minutes of time to go until all times are set. And we are just moments away from bringing you the green flag racing for tonight's event. Thank you all for stopping by. We're just getting things started here, so we hope you enjoyed tonight's coverage. I'll be your host for tonight's event, David Kreutz, your commentator and producer for tonight's coverage. So far, 3 drivers have taken the time, with Zach Saunders at the top of the board, then Cameron Albertson in second, and Cody Linscott in third. And 3 other drivers are currently on the track in addition at taking their own times: Rodney Roberts, Jake Handlevicht, and Cash Culp, all of which right now on the circuit who have not put down a validated lap just yet. Rodney Roberts going to be up into third. Jake Handlevicht going to be right now not set in a time just yet. As he comes across the stripe, it looks like that 24.725 is good for 5th, and Cash Culp now going to be on his way, looking to set a good lap time here in the number 57. As Cash Culp comes across the line, we'll see what he can do in the SimPulse Chevrolet. Culp right now going to be racing down the back straightaway. First lap is going to be in 4th as it stands. Jake Handlevicht going to be in 5th. And right now that number 57 machine looking real good to improve upon his last time by 4/10 at the line. Cash Culp almost grabs the pole. That is second. A 23.418 for the number 57. And Chris Mullins right now, who won last week, a little bit of trouble here in his first lap. He's going to swoop down to the bottom and have to reset his car for one more time. And Tony Jones also on the way in the number 41. Caleb Grimm going to be on the move in the Fast Cash Racing Products machine. That's the number 16 right now on pit road. And Thomas Coonan, all the same, going to be right now taking the track for his second lap. Coonan across the stripe with a 23.893 puts him up to 5th for the first go around. Now looking to make some big gains here in the second time by. Already about a 1/10 of a second quicker out of the first 2 turns. Coonan going to be coming across the line here. Led a fair amount of the laps we saw in last week's event. Led over 20 as a matter of fact, and was one of the more dominant drivers all the way. That time will put him up into second, just beside Zach Saunders, as Chris Mullins is going to move right across the stripe, and Chris's only time will put him up, provisionally speaking, into 5th. Now it's going to be Tony Jones coming across the way in the number 41, and as Jones makes it by, it's a 24.064. That time will not give him any more improvements. It'll be Tony right now in 7th, and Caleb Grimm in the number 16 in his first start this season, now on the way and alone on the track. And Caleb going to back it down right before the start-finish line, so he's going to go for one full lap, and that's all he'll have. Caleb right now is the only driver who is on the track in its entirety. No other drivers decide to take extra practice laps or go for a brand new run. We're still waiting on Trayvon Snyder and Michael Dykes here, so it's up to Caleb, if he chooses to get back on the track and go for that final lap. But otherwise, the entirety of the field, save for 2 drivers, have taken their time. Trayvon Snyder and Michael Dykes we're still waiting on. It looks like right now Caleb Grimm going to be outside of his cockpit, maybe making some final adjustments in that GRA number 16. And he's the only driver right now looking to take a time. We'll see whether or not Dykes or Trayvon Snyder choose to join us. 1st to 9th, from Zach Saunders down to Cody Linscott, have taken laps, and Caleb Grimm has decided to put himself off of the racing circuit. Currently nobody else looking to take a time here in Richmond. So 3 drivers are still eligible for a lap. However, none of them have gotten on the circuit. You got a little bit of time to go, waiting for an opportunity to see a driver get back on the circuit indeed. 4 minutes right now that we're waiting on, so as that time goes by, we're going to be talking about Richmond Raceway, the circuit we're at for tonight's event. It's a 7/8 of a mile circuit, just a little bit bigger than tracks such as Martinsville and Bristol, tracks that we are going to be visiting later on in this 2024 campaign. Richmond, a slightly bigger short track, and it's a slightly quicker one as well. Got more banking all throughout. It's not as highly banked as Bristol, with about 15 or 12 to 15 degrees of banking all through. It's speed. It's all about carrying momentum here, and it's a D-shaped oval, which means if you can pull through some good speed at a 1 and 2, it can take you for the rest of the lap. Turns 3 and 4 will lead to the banked front straightaway with a little bit of a curve in it too, so you can pull that speed through and set yourself up for the first and second course turns once again. And right now, with 3 minutes remaining, times are still not being set. It looks like drivers are deciding to stay off the track right now, and we are not advancing the qualifying session, maybe in the hopes that one or two drivers who are still available can come back and put a time down. And with a little bit of time right now, these drivers are still able to take a qualifying time. Trevor Gill has just loaded into the session, so one more new driver might be able to get onto the track. It's going to be now a total of 13 in the field, and it looks like just under the marker we had last week with 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. Got a little bit of time right now before we get back to the action live on FTN. So with that being said, we're going to take a brief break, but you're still going to be watching the track as we speak. We have brought back for the first time this year Fireball Talks nonstop, so uninterrupted coverage will be happening. You'll see the timing pylon, you'll see the drivers and the track. You're also going to see the advertisements, which we might not have to pull through. Looks like Trevor Gill has already spun. So Trevor, a little bit of trouble there, the number 9 machine, and the number 9 is now back on the way. The Force Awakens Chevy Silverado on the move. Looks like right now, Trevor in his first ever start going first ever qualifying run. Number 9 machine now getting on the way and looking to go down the back straight, pulling through with some momentum. Now going to be heading into turns 3 and 4. Gill going to be on the move for the first of 2 laps. Every driver has 2 laps, and right now for the first turns, of course, Trevor going to be running that middle groove, multi-groove circuit from the high side down to the bottom. Every driver with the opportunity, of course, to use those 2 laps to the fullest, but some drivers having some incidents in the first or second, not really gotten the chance. Number 9 machine right now for Trevor Gill, 24.473. That's a time that is good for 4th immediately. Just like that, it looks like it's going to be Gill on the way in 10th on that first lap. Not a bad lap in the slightest, and he looks quicker already. Coming down the back straightaway, 0.3 of a second. He's got himself now much quicker and might be able to grab the pole. Coming across the line, Trevor loose! Not going to be enough! And Trevor at the line was not quick enough with a spin down the front straightaway, and that could have been the pole time. Trevor Gill, my oh my. Oh, so close, but a spin at the end made the difference. And just like that, qualifying has effectively concluded. How about that final lap for Trevor? It looks like not going to be able to get anything more out of it, and he's going to drop to the back of the grid as a result. Qualifying is over. The lineup has been set. And with that being said, time to see them for the first time in the starting grid as the sunset looks to be in full effect. Going to be nighttime skies to the end of this race, however cloudy. And right now the starting grid getting into formation. So let's get to know this starting grid from top to bottom here in the virtual Richmond Raceway. At the top of the board with the pole position tonight, it's going to be Zach Saunders inside of row number 1, and right beside him going to be Thomas Coonan there in the 2nd spot. 3rd spot on the order is going to be right beside the Number 15, Cameron Albertson is fourth, but tonight, Cash Cope making his debut in the PRA Truck Series is third. Albertson going to be returning from last week's competition. Fifth spot on the order is going to be then from there, Chris Mullins, your Daytona winner, and Rodney Roberts is going to be sixth, a driver who had a top 10 run last week at the World Center of Racing. Seventh spot's going to be Tony Jones, and eighth is going to be Jake Hanlovic. Ninth position is then in there going to be Cody Linscott, and Trevor Gill, who just joined the session, is there in 10th. 11th spot on the timing screen. Well, you're going to see it right now. It's Michael Deitch, and Caleb Grimm is then going to be a 12th spot on the order. 13th and 14th look to be the final two drivers, but we only have one. Trayvon Snyder is the 13th and last driver to join on the starting grid for tonight's event. Drivers are now taking their pace laps, and as you can see, they've left the start-finish line and are now setting up for the big show. 120 laps of racing, about 105 miles when it all comes down to it. It's not a big circuit by any means, but the opportunity for these drivers is major. The championship standings are still largely undone. Chris Mullins with that breakout win, able to avoid all the drama to get the victory, so he's in the best position of everyone. But I think right now the big goal for everyone, well, tonight, it's going to be survival. It's a short track and not a lot of time on the table. This could be an all-green race if the drivers play nice. Michael Deitch and Trayvon Snyder not with us in the starting grid. It looks like they will not be starters for tonight's event. Zach Saunders, though, down low, looking for an opportunity to redeem himself from what happened last week. Saunders looks to be one of the quickest drivers in this series already. Had a lot of speed at Daytona, able to cooperate well with the field. And tonight we're going to find out if cooperation is the biggest of goals for these drivers. Saunders to the bottom, Coonan up top, Cash Cope in third, and the 15 of Albertson in fourth. Coming down to the start-finish line, this time by the iRacing official pace car. Going to let these drivers drop right down low, and Saunders make sure he's got something for the field tonight with this start. Could be the only of the night as the field comes to green. Welcome back to the action track. We are green from the virtual Richmond Raceway. Zach Saunders right now going to find himself at the front of the field leading that first lap. And just like that, it's going to be single file all throughout the field. Opening lap right now, you see these drivers getting themselves in formation. Cash Cope is going to be in third, but maybe a little more pressure right now as you see down to the inside. Cameron Albertson going, and Albertson in the number 15, and it looks like Tony Jones in the number 41 running a very, very similar paint scheme for the both of them right now. And at the front of the field, of course, these two drivers putting the speed down, and they're both looking for sponsors. So if you see where those Ford sale markers are for both of these trucks for that matter, they are both looking for partners to get on the trucks this season, and looks like they are in the chat room right now discussing what's going on. Tony Jones already a fan favorite with some of those viewing, and they are looking for sponsors in the PRA Discord. So tell you this much, if you want to help out this team, both of them are looking for opportunities. Cameron Albertson and Tony Jones, you can find them at discord.gg/PRA, and joining the official Prodigy Racing Association Discord is exactly the way to go to figure out how you can contact this organization and help them out with getting some more color on those two trucks. They're running good right now. Imagine how good they'd be with your help. Zach Saunders right now leading the way, and Thomas Coonan then in second. Saunders right now seems to have pretty good control in that number 99. You find right now that Saunders seems to be running that middle groove. Nobody running really too far down low. When we say middle, you see he's not really clipping the paint or the apron anyhow, just keeping it solid enough as he's running through those first two turns especially. You'll notice coming all the way from the high side, working down low, down two grooves, and even though he's on the higher side of that bottom end, still running low to get the nice exit out of the corner. As he does that once more, you can see the entire field more or less copying him. And here's the number 15 machine of Cameron Albertson looking low on Cash Cope. Cash doesn't give the spot up in the slightest, and as such, everyone right now stays the same. It was surprising to me, if we're going to talk about the real world once again, the Truck Series did not, as Cash Cope is going to go sliding. Cash Cope, is he going to save it? Yes, he does. The caution is out regardless. Well, Cope is going to be saving it. It looks like the caution is out regardless, and that's going to be a safety yellow. All things considered, Cash Cope going to be doing a very good job in that 57 to keep himself out of major trouble, and he should be able to cycle a few spots back up relative to where he is. Not a bad job on the slightest for Cope, but losing a little bit of grip out of 2. And he's got himself now the cause of the first caution, just getting loose off the corner. No contact with anything else, but that's going to be an automatic yellow flag with 112 laps to go, first of the night, but really nothing major. Luckily, we should be able to re-rack him and get going again. Zach Saunders, the race leader. .111 laps to go. You know, when we talk about this track, Richmond International Raceway, as it was about a decade and a half ago, now Richmond Raceway, I was surprised to find out this track did not have a date on the 2008 Craftsman Truck Series schedule. We talked last week about Daytona, and of course that was the season opener, but Richmond was not part of that schedule at all, which came to me as a shock, as it's been used in the National Series for several decades now, so we don't have much real-life experience to compare these trucks to. It's a little bit different because Richmond does not have the opportunity to directly to compare in regards to 2008. However, when we talk about Richmond Raceway, there's a load of history here in the stock car scene, regardless of what series has come here. Richmond Raceway, as it stands, has been owned by NASCAR for the past 5 years, but it's operated for more than 75 years. Opened in 1946. Not under the name Richmond Raceway, but instead under the name the Atlantic Rural Exposition Fairgrounds, and it became the Richmond Fairgrounds Raceway in 1969. In regards to the Truck Series, they took a little bit of a break here. They went from 1995 to 2005 and came back during the pandemic in 2020. So this track, in all honesty, not a big part of the modern Truck Series history, at least just yet, but it was part of the original Truck Series history. Craftsman super trucks and the short tracks were all the rage. Richmond was one of them, but they took a break after 2005, a break that lasted all of 15 years, and they came back in 2020, and now that it's going to be a permanent fixture on the schedule for the coming years again. You'll see a little bit more of the trucks at Richmond, but during this time in stock car racing's history, the trucks decided not to go, and even though that's really not an option any longer because NASCAR owns the track, while there, more than 10 years, you didn't see trucks at Richmond. You might have seen the Xfinity cars, you might have seen the Cup Series, and maybe even the modifieds as well, but they didn't come often to this circuit here in Richmond, Virginia. Here in the virtual world, though, we have a chance to get them going once again, and it's going to be the first restart of the night. Zach Saunders down to the bottom, and Thomas Coonan right up top. Looks like Saunders with a nice jump, getting a truck length out of it. Green flags out again. Caution's out already. It's going to be Trevor Gill among others, and the number 8 at Cody Linscott and Jake Handlovic. Yellow flags out. Let's take a look at why that happened. It looks like immediately off of the first 2 turns. Let's watch this one back. It looks like Jake was coming up too, as Cody Linscott is going to get involved. There's the number 9. It looks like Cash Cope is going to hit the 9 of Trevor Gill, then Cody Linscott, and Cope is going to be the culprit of the incident here. So we're going to take a look back here as Cash Cope might have just caught a piece and given way to a multi-car incident. Here's a look one more time, this time on board with the 57 of Cash Cope. And Cope definitely was the one who hooked the 9 first. And the caution is out as a result. You see Cope got away, but those behind him not as fortunate. Yellow flag is out again, 15 laps in, and Cash Cope involved in both of them as the direct causes. And just like that, we are pacing once more. Zach Saunders still your leader. So Saunders still the leading man. You see Jake Handlovic and the number 9 of Trevor Gill both down a pit road here very early for the both of them here. And of course, caution that perhaps could have been avoided at the back of the field. You see some early contact. All the while, the leaders and those in the middle of the pack will get away. Quick trouble going to bring out the yellow flag for the second time tonight. 16 laps in out of 120. However, I would imagine this is not going to become a constant thing, given the way these drivers were pretty clean in those first 10 laps, and then saw a single car incident. Zach Saunders leading. Cameron Albertson now second, and Thomas Coonan back to third. A few changes in that respect as Tony Jones is now going to be fourth, and Daytona winner Chris Mullins is up to fifth. So watch out for Mullins here inside the top 5, and slowly but surely making his way back up as the yellow flag is going to fly for one more lap, and we are going to go back to green, this time by 104 laps remaining, and it's going to be all down to, of course, whether or not we can get ourselves in a good green flag rhythm. Chat room rather active tonight. We'd like to thank Diamond Psych P, Jackson, Cash, Culp, Trent Plays, in addition, Rhina Bloom, and Phoenix for all stopping by. And right now, with 104 laps remaining, Zach Saunders, the leading man. Let's see what he can do here as we go for restart number 2. Saunders is going to immediately get the jump once again, and as you can see, side by side, once more for second, the number 15 machine of Cameron Albertson, ripping it on the high side and looking for some momentum, coming right down. He's side by side with his teammate in the 41, but it looks like he'll get away. Looking a little further back, Rodney Roberts passed quick by Caleb Grimm, and Caleb now trying to get himself up there in the main pack. Here comes number 16 of Grimm making his way in. Chris Mullins in number 76 so is no longer going to be in the top 5. Cash Cope has made his way right in there, and despite the contact and the various cautions he's been involved with, he's made his way back with some speed. That is especially obvious right now. For that number 57, I can't imagine he thinks he's not one of the favorites to win. He most likely is, as long as he keep himself going through lap after lap with very little trouble in regards to putting down the pace. 57 should be good to go. Right now, Tony Jones is going to be in 4th, Cameron Albertson in 3rd, and Thomas Coonan is in 2nd. Zach Saunders still the leading man by 4/10. 100 laps remaining. Half a tenth back is going to be Thomas Coonan here, when Cameron Albertson about a quarter of a second behind. Tony Jones then and there in 4th. Cash Cope is going to be 5th, and Chris Mullins is in 6th. 7th is Grimm, and Rodney Roberts is then and there 8th. Looks like there's right now going to be 9 drivers in the lead lap category. 10 drivers within 1 lap, and 11th, 5 laps down, is Trevor Gill. Seeing everyone right now get themselves settled in for what could be the long haul here, and you can see those multiple grooves are also coming into play. They'll come in a little bit better if you look from overhead. Here's the number 41. There is Tony Jones. He's going to be right now rolling down to the bottom side. A little bit lower goes his teammate in Cameron Albertson, but we saw Thomas Coonan doing something a little bit different. Here is the number 68 machine of Coonan, and you'll see maybe a little bit higher, half a lane higher perhaps, especially through the entry of 3 and 4. sure. Most drivers have decided, though, the bottom is the place to be, and that might be the way it stays for the remainder of the night, if not, at the very least, the majority of it. We were seeing a little bit more short track racing all throughout the iRacing scene tonight. In particular, one race that went by just a few hours ago, the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, broadcasted on Maconie Entertainment. Drivers are using the high side at the very end to try to get a run to combat the faster guys, and that tends to happen at shorter circuits. If you think you're not quick enough for a whole lap, but you need to get them down the straightaway, you might have a little bit more of a better opportunity, shall we say, to run up high and try to use that back straightaway to help you out. And especially here at Richmond, the high side can help you if you use it rightly. And of course, doing so, easier said than done. Already, Tony Jones has a scrape on his right side. Cash Culp has been a thorn in his side for a while here, left and or right. And you see now, Cash going to go down to the left side, and he is looking for the pass, working down that back straightaway. A little bit of a wiggle, but nothing all too crazy, and he's going to stay right there. Contact! And the 41, can he save it, Tony Jones? Yes, he does, but Cash Culp again. That is the third driver, or rather, the second that he's hit directly, but the third indirectly that he's made contact with. So Cash Culp, we got to watch out for him. Another instance of contact, and he is not afraid to move Tony Jones just a little bit further back. Tony now finds himself in fifth. Chris Mullins is going to be eyeing him up about 0.6 of a second back. Maybe an opportunity for your Daytona winner to get back inside the top 5, which he no longer is in anymore anyhow. And he might have an opportunity to get himself back up there if all goes well in these coming laps. 93 laps to go and still counting down. It's going to be Cash Culp now up into 4th, and he looks to be about the same speed as Cameron Albertson, who's just a bit out. 0.3 of a second ahead, maybe 4. Nothing all too crazy, but the gap is still shrinking. And that time by, Culp was about 0.1 of a second faster, and he gains doubly so on this go-around. Culp coming across the line here with 91 laps remaining. He's going to be right on his tail, and we'll see what he deals with. Of course, trying to get by Cameron Albertson, looking for the 15's deck lid. See what happens here as the number 15 of Albertson is up high. He goes as high as he can, and that's going to compromise Cash Culp's lane just a little bit more. And that's all he needs to do to keep Culp at bay for another 2 turns. Might not be enough. You see Cash is right there trying to look for that opportunity. He is primed and ready, and here goes Albertson in the wall, and that could be all he needs. Cash Culp not afraid to get right there side by side with him. And now working down that back straightaway, the number 57 is going to be moving through, and he's got himself a position made. Up to 3rd for Cash Culp. 90 laps to go. Thomas Coonan now the next driver in his clutches, as Culp is going to make it by. Good for 3rd. He's got 2 more spots to make up in 89 laps if we stay under green. Side by side, going to be Rodney Roberts right now with Caleb Grimm. Grimm's going to go way high. Rodney going to stay right there with, side by side, down the back straightaway. And it looks like Rodney can't get the pass as Caleb Grimm is still ahead of him. Chris Mullins now going to be chasing down Tony Jones, and Cameron Albertson is in 4th. Zach Saunders leading the way again. Zach has been dominant all day long. .88 remaining for the 99. Thomas Coonan is 0.9 of a second back, but so far of all the laps we've had on the day, yeah, Zach Saunders has led all 33. Not a lap he has not led so far. He has been dominant in the early stages of this race, and hoping to keep that progression up for the remainder of the way. The first quarter has been his, and nobody has doubted that. Maybe an opportunity for someone to take it from him later on. But right now, everyone's a bit too busy fighting against each other. You see right now Tony Jones and also Cameron Albertson being caught up to by the number 76 of Chris Mullins. So Mullins is looking to make a splash and put himself in the picture. Right now, that number 76 within a quarter of a second. He was more than a second back, about 5 laps to go. That's no longer the case, and looks like now Tony is in hot water, and his teammate will be there too. Not the best position to be in right now for neither the 41 or the 15, but they'd still be able to hang on at least partially to their top 5 runs. It looks like right now the number 41 of Jones is going to close right back up to Albertson, and Cameron going to be feeling the heat from both drivers here because Tony may be looking for a chance to stay inside of the top 5. Chris Mullins, he's there going to 76, right there with. You got to imagine one of them is going to try to go for the push through and make something happen. The opportunity is still there, hasn't gotten it just yet indeed. 3 drivers now going to be bundled in within half a second, and the lappers coming in too. There is Jake Handlovic. And right now for Jake, it looks like he's got himself in the perfect position to slide through and look for an opportunity. Side by side between the teammates, Cameron Albertson now going to be going all the way up top as the 41 of Jones goes right down low. Here comes bottom side Tony, and it looks like for the low groove, the 41 might be able to handle it and make the pass. That he does, but not without contact. And here comes Chris Mullins in number 76. Mullins a little bit loose, but Cameron Albertson looser. And that will send Cameron down to the 6th. Looks like right now Chris gets up into the 5th spot, and Tony Jones is position number 4. As such, Tony Jones going to find himself right now, that number 41 machine, the man to beat in this fight anyway. We thought he might have been the one who got swallowed up, but it looks like he got by Chris Mullins on the pace and was able to keep his teammate at bay. All of a sudden right now, Mullins is going to be about a second split from his teammate. The number 15 of Cameron Albertson has fallen back and big. He's 6th and currently is alone right now, so while he doesn't have to worry about losing any more position, he definitely will not be gaining. Finds himself right now 40 laps in, alone in 6th. Most of the field right now going to be spread out and maybe looking at the long-term strategy as the next step in succeeding in this event. That time by, Cash Culp was quicker than both of the leaders. It was a 23.819 for Cash Culp, and for the leader, Zach Saunders, well, he was able to run himself up a 23.892. So not the biggest of differences, but 8/100ths of a second, and he's gapped right now by 32 tenths. So it's really going to take a lot right now for Cash Culp. If he stays up there in this position, 79 laps to go, and consistently gains, well, he'd be able to get there within 50 laps, but that consistent gain is a big, big if, especially because Zach Saunders is still, by and large, the fastest man on the track most every lap. Now, side by side, it's going to be Cody Linscott in the number 8 machine going under, and it looks like now Caleb Grin going to be passed, and Trevor Gill goes with a quick move right there as Rodney Roberts is alone. Meanwhile, Linscott's gotten away, and he's got the number 9 machine, Trevor Gill, right there with 78 laps to go. Here comes to the bottom side, Trevor Gill indeed. Now, even though he's a lapper, he's still going to be fighting with them, and he looks to have quite a lot of pace here. So it's an unfortunate circumstance. He had to go down to pit road, lost 4 laps to the next lapper, 5 laps overall in a 3-minute stop. As such, Trevor going to find himself far beyond the leaders. Still trying to make something happen. 77 laps remaining. Still time on the table. It doesn't mean the race is over, even if he is that far behind right now. Chris Mullins is once again coming up on Tony Jones, looking for an opportunity to maybe make a pass. Watch him here with Chris Mullins. You could see it's still about a quarter of a second to go, but Jones gets loose and maybe going to make the job easier for him. We're going to ride on board right now for Mullins and see exactly how he deals with this circumstance. Mullins right now going to be in the 5th position as Caleb Grin goes down to pit road. Looks like he's going to be making his way in right now on the left side of your screen. You'll see the 16. Mullins, though, up and down in regards to making that spot up. He looked to be a little bit quicker a few laps ago. However, still 0.3 of a second. That is the bubble. Hasn't quite been able to make anything else of it so far, although it looks like a little bit of a mistake from Tony Jones is all he needs. Down to the inside, they're side by side and leaning off each other. Door to door, at the line they'll be, but it looks like Mullins is going to have to give in and almost give up as Tony Jones is going to hold on, and he's going to keep 4th, at least for the time being. Not half bad there for the number 41, defensive driving on the high side, and Mullins was able to slide through and let him know exactly what he wanted out of it. And now the number 16 machine of Caleb Grimm is coming through, and he's going to complicate this battle even further because he's on a younger set of rubber, and if he wants to, he could be definitely quick enough to stick his nose into it, although Mullins a little bit loose with some damage here. You see that number 76 in the wall once again. Both drivers here have been susceptible to some mistakes, not going to help out the two of them in the slightest. Right now, oh, we got a spinner indeed, Caleb Grimm, and he's going to be on the track, stalled. Yellow flag is out, and the 16 of Grimm is the reason. It looks like Caleb, despite getting down there, the cold tires are what do him in. It looks like just not enough grip or warmth in him, rather, and he's going to go around sliding on his own. Nobody else involved, luckily, and here's a look back. Taking a look back right now with the number 37 of Jake Handlovic, but Jake made no effort or no reason for him to make an effort for contact. It looks like just going through 3 and 4, Caleb was loose, and the caution flies for the third time tonight. Yellow flag is out right now with 70 laps remaining, and as such, Caleb Grimm going to be the cause, and this is the first caution Cash Culp is not involved with here. Getting back live on FTN, next race on the schedule for those who are asking, including Diamonds, well, you see right here, racing from the USA International Speedway, Lakeland is where we're up to next Friday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Just like that, 69 laps to go, a nice run in for Zach Saunders, and pit road is busy once again. We'll be racing next from one of the free tracks on the iRacing platform, so if you have any friends who want to join the fun and get to racing, well, we'd love to have you join PRA Trucks on FTN. It's getting more exciting each and every week here, and the excitement, short track of them all, Richmond Raceway, has been delivering. At the line is Zach Saunders. Beats them all off again. Saunders, Coonan, Cash, Culp, and Jake Handlovic. Like right now, Culp is third off pit road as Jake Handlovic decides to stay out on the track. And I think right now, the 37... he's got to go down to pit road, maybe this lap or maybe the next, just trying to get that lead lap token perhaps, an extra bonus point or two. But right now, the 37 going to cycle back regardless here. You see, there's Tony Jones going to take a pass quickly at 53 laps in, out of 120. Now find ourselves with only 68 laps to go. We were talking previously, but this is the first time in 2024 we've got non-stop coverage available here on FTN, which includes the racing action and the timing screen, all while bringing to you at the same time our advertisements. We've got a lot of great promotions that we have going on here on FTN, and a lot of great associates who bring this broadcasting action to you. So we'll be right back after a brief message from some of our FTN partners here as we go for some non-stop coverage under caution.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Going to be 65 laps to go when we go back green. Zach Saunders again has led every lap on the day. Thomas Coonan going to be right beside him, and the SimPulse 57 of Cash Cope also inside the top 3, running about as quick as Zach in those later laps of the green flag run. We'll see what he can do this time by as we head back to the green flag once again. Green flag's out with 65 laps to go for restart number 3. And now it's going to be Thomas Coonan right up top with the number 41 and Tony Jones in the mix as well. Here goes down and under. Jones trying to get by Cash Cope. Looks like Cash now on the high side, no longer in the most aggressive of lanes, trying to put that defense down as he goes side by side. No door banging just yet, but Jones is loose and has to give up the spot regardless. And now the SimPulse trucks are going to be with each other. The 68 of Coonan, the 57 of Cash Cope, and a JFR running alongside each other here, second and third. All the while, Zach Saunders once again gets away. A few other close battles. Maybe Chris Mullins trying to get in the mix right now. He is in 5th. Got by Tony Jones previously. Maybe looking for a chance to do so once again. Jones, though, looks real good on these younger sets of rubber. Just not one of the better drivers in regards to tire saving, at least so far tonight. So one pit stop, and we might not see another 4 today. It all comes down to how well these drivers hold on to their stuff. If we see a late race caution, we might see a second pit cycle. However, in the opportunity, of course, that we go all the way under green, there is no mandatory reason for a pit stop here. So you might be looking at the rest of this race going under green and not seeing drivers head down a pit road unless absolutely necessary, and that would be if we do have, of course, an extension like a green-white checkered, which I doubt we will. Now it looks like Cash Cole pulling up to the back bumper of Zach Saunders. Watch on board as he's starting to make up that distance and trying to put himself in the position for the top spot. And now Cope is going to be right there within 15 hundredths of a second, as close as he got through 3 and 4. Zach Saunders is going to be have to look out the deck lid here in that rear view mirror, because it looks like now Cope was getting closer and closer, and especially in the long run looked to be about as quick as the man right ahead of him. And you can see right now Cash looking for an opportunity, staying right behind down the back straight, looking low, and the 57 decides to think better of it and doesn't quite go for the aggressive motion under. However, it's obvious right now, if he gets room, he's going to make that move and pounce on it. Right now, Zach Saunders looking to find that way to defend. He goes down to the bottom side. He's going to leave Cash Cope with little place to go. The 57 trying to find that room, and instead is going to drop down to the bottom side. Here goes Cash. Can't get it. Looks like half a lane up. It's going to be Zach Saunders. Good enough for the defense to keep that spot in his possession. And with 57 laps to go, the 57 not able to gain that lead. It looks like it's still going to be Zach's for the taking, who has led all 63 of the day so far. Coming to lap number 64, he's been immaculate to this point, and he's hoping not to give that up. Already getting the most laps led and the pole position. This could be the perfect race for the number 99 if, of course, he held on and kept himself up there till the end. Zach Saunders so far has been on a dream type of night. Fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying, leading the most laps of the day, grabbing the pole, and so far he's led every lap. That could change. Cash Cope right now going to be right under him, looking to take that Grand Slam away. And it looks like Cash once again gets loose in what could have been one of his best opportunities to take that lead. He's going to slide ever so slightly back and having to fall back with 55 to go. Not what he wants, but it looks like it's just a minor bobble, and he stays still, relatively speaking, stride for stride. 54 laps to go. Cash Cole was still going to stay right behind right now, that number 99, and it looks like it's going to be Zach Saunders still holding himself up ahead. The closest battle on the racing circuit is happening up at the front. However, Colt gets a little bit loose once again, and he's pushing himself as hard as he can, maybe a little bit over the edge, just trying to find something, but it doesn't quite work out, and once more, Colt was going to lose time rather than gain it. He's now more than a quarter of a second back, and those slight losses are beginning to add up, and you can't have that happen if you're fighting there for the race lead. Trevor Gill goes down to pit road. He's right now 11th and last of all the drivers who took the green flag. 52 to go. I think Cash Cole is starting to lose his grip here as Zach Saunders, 69 laps in, has established himself a nice race lead and a little bit of a comfort zone for him to not worry all too much about what's behind him. Coming across the line once again, how's about we take a lap on board with your current race leader, the dominant man today, Zach Saunders, and see what's going on. Zach Saunders right now holding his own very well, and you can see watching that wheel movement very, very minimal on the left side of your screen. It looks like right now being especially patient with the motions inside and out of the cockpit. Turn it in left, but nothing all too much. Not going to be overdoing it inside the car, just doing exactly what's necessary, and we'll compare it right now by riding a lap on board with Cash Cole. And the biggest difference might be the fact that Cash is maybe stalling at that wheel just a little bit more. It isn't all too aggressive, not as noticeable as you think, but he does seem to be using that wheel back and forth a little bit to try to get a little more control out of the truck, which does work, but with these old trucks, which have so much more of that power naturally than the modern trucks, and of course they handle a little bit different, they're much overall more responsive, shall we say, to what the drivers are putting in. You're going to feel that, and the tires will wear as a result. So with the control that Cash Cole was giving himself, admittedly, he might be wearing down those tires more than his competitor, Zach Saunders, which will not help out as the race progresses here. And Chris Mullins is gaining a little bit more time on Tony Jones, and it looks like you can see he's working the wheel back and forth aggressively, even down the straightaway. And given that these drivers are all going to be on a fixed setup tonight, it all comes down to how you choose to drive the truck. And right now, that number 41 for sale truck, the 41 machine, driving it like he stole it. But it looks like right now, coming up with the problems, not really gaining any two positions as we come through this final stretch of the race. Coming closer to lap number 80 already, and time has been flying. Right now, Tony holding himself up there nicely in fourth, but we see still more and more Chris Mullins is coming, and he's looking to make it a fierce fight for that spot. He might be able to take it away, as a matter of fact, and with 45 to go, still going to be counting down. Mullins is there. You're going to see Tony Jones, who finds himself now within a quarter of a second of being passed. Maybe an opportunity right now as he gets in the wall to try to keep the spot, but defense is going to be hard with damage, and as such, Mullins down and under, going to be able to make that pass not work. And Jones with enough momentum off of that final straight to get back in the race lead all over again, or rather the lead for fourth. It's the battle as Zach Saunders is still the man leading all the way, but leading this fight is a big deal right now because it looks like Jones, once again brushing up against the wall, is using every inch of the track, maybe using a little bit more than he needs to because he's brushed up against that wall multiple times successively. Tony Jones here, 42 laps to go as we come back at it again. See here, working that back straightaway. He's got himself still just ahead of Mullins, but and keeping him honest and might continue to do so for the remainder of this night. 42 remaining. It looks like right now Jake Handlevick going to be coming up on Rodney Roberts. And you can see here, that time by Jake Handlevick ran a 23.974. All the while, Rodney Roberts ran a 24.158. It looks like definitely now Handlevick is quicker than number 29, and Rodney might be in jeopardy of losing a position, which could occur here within the next 5 or 6 laps. Cameron Albertson up top in that number 15 machine. He is a lapper, and he is going to be moving out of the way momentarily here. You see him go high, and Rodney Roberts deciding to go right down and under. Meanwhile, Jake is going to be watching it and hoping for Rodney to get a little bit more distracted. He comes off the corner a little bit weaker, and that's definitely not going to help him out. As such, though, now Rodney going to be able to use that number 15 as a little bit of a blocker and some assistance. And Rodney Roberts going to drop up to the higher side. You see him there moving slowly but surely ahead of Cameron Albertson. So does Jake. And now both drivers have gotten away from the lapper. 39 laps to go, and time is still running out for these two. This pair is going to be on its own, fighting for 6th, and Chris Mullins decides he's going to be still fighting with Tony Jones, but it looks like Handlevick a little bit more successful in pulling the job out of this one, and at the line, Handlevick gets the spot. He's going to be good for 6th. Rodney Roberts falls back to position number 7, and now Thomas Coonan's looking for a way back with his teammate in Cash Culp. Saunders is up ahead, and he finds himself right now there by a total of 1.3 seconds, but Cash Culp has been losing time, and it looks like falling back in the clutches of his teammate. And Cash Culp now losing a little bit more of that time. Like Thomas Coonan already looking bottom to try to find room. Right now what Cash can do as it stands, it's going to be the number 57 machine running second, and 3/10 back is Coonan, oh so close. And Cash Culp gets especially loose coming down to the back straightaway, and as such he has nobody there behind him any longer. It is going to be Coonan up in front. Here comes Thomas, and the 68 makes a quick move right in front of the field, up to second. Now the only driver standing in his way of the win will be Zach Saunders, who is admittedly 2 seconds ahead. 35 laps to go, and still counting down. Thomas Coonan going to find himself now up in a second. However, Cash Culp being now behind him, and Zach Saunders being far ahead. Very little he can do right here besides keep running the laps down. And up next will be Cody Linscott. That is the lapper in the number 8, and both drivers here should be able to get by him rather quickly. Coonan down to the bottom side, and here he goes with Cash Culp. Is going to be a quick move for the both of them, and in succession they'll go down the line with now 33 laps to go. Not bad at all for the number 68 machine, SimPulse Chevrolet. Leading right now anyway is Thomas Coonan, and now Cash Culp right there third in this fight overall for the race win, and they've let Zach Saunders run wild. Zach finds himself now ahead by 2.1 seconds. He's led all 88 laps on the day, the most of any driver in the field, and he might be set up to go for a 100% race victory. The number 99 of Zach Saunders done an incredible job so far, looking to lead all 120 laps and leave nothing on the table. He's done his due so far, 88 laps in, maybe an opportunity for him to go all the way here in the final stretch. 30 remaining and still counting down as Cash Culp is trying to get back up there with his teammate Thomas Coonan. Rodney Roberts still a little bit further back there, and Jake Handlevick. Still Chris Mullins, position number 5. The number 76 machine of Chris Mullins is going to pass by the lapper in Linscott, who's still losing time here. Looks like Mullins is now a second off of Tony Jones and not really making up the time with the speed. to pull through. That number 41 of Tony Jones right now is going to be loose, and he will go up top again, trying to keep it straight as it's the number 16 machine that passes him in, Caleb Graham. Caleb was previously involved in the last caution in which he spun around on his own, but that was when he was on cold tires, so he should not be in jeopardy of doing so once again. However, it looks like Tony Jones is going to spin right in front, and the caution is out with 29 laps to go. Here's an instant replay. Let's find out what happened. So number 41 machine right now, you see him there. He was just ahead of Caleb Grimm, and it looks like coming out of 4 loose. Nobody else hits him, but he's going to keep the spin relatively in control to half spin, and the 41 he causes the yellow flag, the 4th of the day. Yellow flag is out. 7th spot, Tony Jones losing some time, and as such now, well, leads the way 93 laps in no longer. The fight for 5th, down to 7th there, and it looks like he'll be coming down to the pit road, as does the majority of the leading pack, and we are now going to get that final pit stop cycle of the day. Without any other reason, including damage, this should be the final pit stop for most every driver. And the 99 is Zach Saunders is going to be the driver who leads them in. Let's find out if he leads them out here as pit road gets busy with 27 laps to go. Saunders is still the overall race leader on the day as he comes into pit road, so he does have the opportunity to leave it quickly. 2-tire strategy not going to be taking everyone going with 4, so Saunders, Coonan, and Culp 1, 2, 3. Chris Mullins now going to be 4th, and Jake Handlovic is in 5th. Just like that, Saunders comes out again, advantageous. 94 laps on the day. Led so far, looking to finish the job and go for all 120. 26 laps to go, and before we go back green in a few laps time, we're going to bring you some more FTN non-stop coverage amid this commercial break. You're going to be seeing the racing on the right side of your screen, and the timing screen will still remain right on top, so you will not miss a thing here as we go to some non-stop coverage, and we'll return after these following message with less than 25 laps to go.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Twenty-four laps to go. We're going to be coming back green with only 23, and as it stands, the fight for the race lead is going to be back in action. Zach Saunders has been the dominant man so far tonight, leading north of 95 laps. However, maybe a chance to go for the perfect race is now in jeopardy. iRacing official pace car will pull low, and Saunders will be the man in control. Green flags out with 23 remaining, and Zach gets the jump over the SimPulse duo. Gonna crank it up next time by with 22 laps remaining, courtesy of our friends at TrackCams22.com. The best broadcasters choose the best cameras, and TrackCams22.com is the place to go for all top-level broadcasters. As Coonan is gonna slide. Is it a caution? Yes, it is. We'll crank it up. Oh, goodness! Tony Jones up and over for a barrel roll twice, and he will come back on all fours, but it looks like Cody Linscott gets into Jones, and the yellow flag turns dangerous as Jones's night is all but over. Here's a look back with Tony Jones, among others, involved in that one. It starts, of course, with Thomas Coonan, and here we go again. Yellow flag for the biggest incident of the day. Coonan was drifting up on his lonesome, and as he comes up, Cody Linscott looks to be involved in this one. The reason being, Linscott goes under. And as he goes under, there's Tony, the 41. And to avoid Coonan, Tony takes the worst hit of the night. And he ends up and over in a barrel roll Daytona. Coonan ends up getting sideswiped by a lapper. And Jones goes for a barrel roll at Richmond. Here's a look on board with Tony Jones at the time of the wreck. Well, first off, he actually got himself loose, so he was in trouble already. That's what set him up for this. And that's the worst way that caution could have gone for the number 41 crew. Thomas Coonan could have gotten out of it scot-free, but damage from a lapper also catches up to him, and the yellow flag is out now with 20 laps to go as Tony's going to be coming down to pit road, and it looks like he's going to have to damage bent up suspension, the front and back bodies all is destroyed. Really little that can be done there is the number 99. Right now, Zach Saunders leads, and one of the big competitors of the day for the win anyway, well, he's now down and out, and Cash Culp is up there in second, still trying to hold fort and keep himself in a good position to go all throughout. Tony Jones right now trying to catch back up as Coonan looks to be right now with them. And you can see the front end for Coonan has a little more damage than we expected, but it's that backside that has the most trouble. 19 laps to go, and it'll bunch up once again as the field gets settled in one more time. $19 laps to go. Additional damage repair for Trevor Gill. He's going to come back down and in. He's now 14 laps down as it stands, and looks like he's still going to be on pit road as we speak. And you can see his night might be done after that contact he had with the number 68 of Thomas Coonan, as it looks like a little too much for the front side of that truck to handle. And we'll get the official word in a few minutes' time to see whether or not he can get back on the track at all. Caleb Grimm right now in that number 16 machine, well, he's in a bad position, and we'll see whether or not he can figure that out. As the number 16 is 4 laps down, however, none of that major damage as opposed to the competitors he's been racing around, who are definitely in a little bit of a worse position, shall we say. Zach Saunders, number 99, going to lead him back to green with 17 laps to go. And this time by, rather than with 22 laps to go, we are going to crank it up with iRacing's best camera provider, TrackCams22.com. Visit TrackCams for Gourmets at their Facebook page, facebook.com/TrackCams, or TrackCams22.com for more information, as we are going to return after cranking it up now with 17 laps remaining. Zach Saunders looking to finish off what could be the perfect race in that number 99. Let's see what we can do here as we get the jump with 17 laps to go. Green flags out as we crank it up, courtesy of our friends at TrackCams for Gourmets. 12 laps to go. Zach Saunders finds himself a man on a mission looking to finish up the job. All the while, you see some short track racing still going. Here's the number 15 of Cameron Albertson, and he's raced against a beaten-up Thomas Coonan. Coonan right now finds himself fit despite all the wear and tear. But it looks like for Thomas, really not going to be the best of his night because he's got immense damage and he's just trying to keep it on the circuit. It's the same situation for Cameron Albertson here, and it looks like despite that fact, they're still running quite well. No retirees today. However, it looks like Trevor might be effectively done. He's got an immense amount of damage, even more so than the competitors we're looking at on the screen right now. And for Trevor, that front-end damage is actively lethal. It's 10 laps to go, and he's 23 laps down. Little that can be done to finish outside of 11th and last. But it looks like Cameron Albertson has a little bit better of that front end, despite some right-side scuffs. Although Thomas Coonan was able to make that pass, it's a shock to see him still running at speed. And race pace is just enough right now for Coonan. Chris Mullins is looking for 2 consecutive podiums. Meanwhile, Zach Saunders looks for the first win and a big win on the season. Getting win number 1 would be fantastic for the number 99 team, especially in this fashion, as Jake Hanlevic in the 37 now is going to be in third. Despite not having the best of days, admittedly, Jake has made it up. And now for the driver who started in third, he is there, and you see there's the number 8 machine again, the lapper of Cody Lynn Scott. And looks like not a lot of speed for Lynn Scott tonight, compounded by further damage. He is now there, getting washed away as you see Albertson and Coonan go by. It's now Cash Colt 9/10 back on your leader, but nothing he can do. Now, Zach Saunders has only 7 more laps to complete to finish off the perfect race here in PRA. Up on the immensely damaged Tony Jones. Tony will let Zach go by, and really little else he can do as Tony can't even get the power off the corner simply because of how weak that engine is. You see Jones is back all the way right now and 3 laps down. Maybe the only spot more that he can gain is one on Cody Lynn Scott, because Cody looks to be even slower. Right now, Tony, despite the damage, is holding his own solidly enough. That time by, he ran a 24.587, which admittedly is a very slow lap. But with that amount of damage, it's a shock he's even within the 25-second range. He's still chugging along and just quick enough to not be destroyed by everyone who comes by him. Cameron Albertson coming through right now on Thomas Coonan, and they're still within a quarter of a second. Maybe a chance right now for the 15 machine to revise the history books and get another top 5, but not close enough just yet. And while the distance is very, very short between these two drivers, 4 laps remain, and Thomas Coonan has not quite been able to make something happen. You can see he runs in fifth as it stands, 7/10 of a second back on Chris Mullins. He's been able to keep that number 15 at bay, and Albertson has been able to do very little with the man in front. Looks like Mullins is slowly but surely able to gain once again. That time by 2/10 of a second quicker as Tony Jones gets in the wall. He's 2/10 quicker than number 37 of Hanlevic, and Jake might find himself now in a little more trouble than before. It looks like now Tony Jones gets right in the middle of this fight. Let both of these drivers go through with 2 laps to go. And now it's going to be the popsicle sticks up and in the air. 2 remaining right now for the field. And Chris Mullins now not a lot of time for him to make up now 4/10 of a second as Zach Saunders, he's going to be the man that leads the way. A lap and a half to go for the driver who has led every lap on this day. And it looks like now he's just got to complete 1 more. The fastest driver in practice, the fastest driver in qualifying. The man who, of course, got the pole as a result, and the man who has led every lap in this race. There's been no stopping Zach Saunders tonight, and from the very beginning of this session, it was clear he was the quickest, and he made sure absolutely nobody could prove him different. Coming off of turn 4, it was a flag-to-flag experience, and Zach Saunders leads all 120 laps to come to victory in the PRA Southeast 120. Victory for Zach Saunders. And the checkered flag will fly with Cash Colt second, Jake Hanlevic then in third. Saunders has done it. And this might stand for a long while as the most dominant victory this league has seen. Wasn't as easy as it might seem on paper, but Saunders leads each and every lap to come home with 120 laps led from the pole. And Saunders looks to be taking at least a little bit of this circuit in reverse for shades of a Polish victory lap dominance here in Richmond, and nobody could stop him as he turns down and in, goes back by the front straightaway, maybe coming down to miniature victory lane. Zach Saunders has done it, and what a way to win that was. Nobody could touch him tonight, and now gonna burn down the house. Zach Saunders will collect the victory here in Richmond, getting it done over Cash Colt then in second, and third spot is going to be occupied by Jake Handlovic. After all of tonight's racing, fourth spot is going to go to Chris Mullins, and P4 for Chris, just 0.6 off what could have been a second consecutive podium. And then from there, you're going to see Thomas Coonan round out the top 5 in an extensively damaged number 68. Going to be then Cameron Albertson in 6th and Rodney Roberts in 7th, with Cody Linscott in 8th and Tony Jones 9th, as Caleb Grimm is 10th, and 11th spot then and there is going to be Trevor Gill, with Michael Deitch and Trayvon Snyder not starting tonight's race. Nobody could touch Zach Saunders, that is for certain. And we're going to get a word from your race winner. Dominance unlike anything else we've seen, and the number 99 lead all 120 laps. Nobody else able to challenge him today. Zach Saunders will pull through, and victory is his. We're about to get a word right now from your race winner, Zach Saunders, who was able to collect the checkered flag with little resistance on the day, and the fastest in practice, qualifying, and leading every lap here in Richmond. Zach, flag-to-flag victory, and just about the perfect race you could possibly have. Little else that could be better. Just like that, Zach, you come home in a victory lane. How do you feel?
Tired. I'm really tired, to be honest. Work killed me today, so yeah, really just had to muscle through that one, and yeah, just the track was insanely loose during practice, and it was really loose on fresh tires going into one. But yeah, just really had to muscle the car around a little bit and make sure you wasn't getting into the corner too hot or anything like that. Got in the wall a couple times, but it didn't hurt it too bad. So we'll take days like today.
Well, all things considered, it looks like getting that track position up in front, able to avoid all the chaos further on back, and you kept yourself exactly where you started all throughout the race. How important do you think qualifying was in your success tonight?
I don't know. It's just hard to tell, because you know the truck drives different in the dirty air. So I don't think it'd been too much of a struggle if I had a bad quali or whatever to get back up front. I had a pretty good amount of speed to get up front, or to run up front, it looks like. So it'd been, just kind of just thoughtfully get up through the pack if I did have to get through that situation.
Looks like, with that being said, regardless of where you started, we see where you finish here tonight. And even though it was close, you still led every lap. You think you could have seen, if we had a few more of those yellow flags, maybe more competition from the guys behind you, maybe creeping up back on you?
I don't know. I mean, it's just hard to tell. It's just one of those what if things. I was really hoping we'd get green that entire, or what was it, 2 cautions ago. I was hoping we'd stay green with like 30 to go, so we could get it over with. But no, just made it interesting for the end, and Redline had an issue there going in to 3, I think. And Cash was really hounding on me there at the end. So good job by those guys.
All being said and done tonight, Zach, you gum from the start of this race to the finish, leading every lap in between and collecting the checkered flag. And before we head on to USA International, you have any final shout-outs or any messages you'd like to give?
Thanks for doing the broadcasting, and thanks Redline for putting us on.
There we have it. Zach Saunders collecting the checkered flag here at the Richmond Raceway. Thank you for your time.
Yep.
Saunders going to be on the move, and right behind him today was the number 57 of Cash Culp. Well, Cash, you had a lot of speed, but some early trouble might have set you back to start. Runner-up finish today here in Richmond. How was it like?
We tried. I mean, I wasn't even expecting to freaking get a top 5. It's my first ever time at Richmond, so our SimPulse Fast Catch Race product number 57 Chevrolet was faster than it should be, or faster than I expected to be. So we had a great truck. Had a great time. I liked the looseness. It was very fun. The early incidents didn't really bother me that much. I felt bad for whoever got involved, but earlier incidents definitely was not a factor. Today we just got flat out beat. Zach was just faster than us in every way. So he was fighting grip somewhere and I wasn't. So he was just flat out better. There's no denying that he was just flat out faster today. So no denying that Zach is a good driver. Really happy with my second place. I mean, obviously want to win, but first ever time at Richmond and first time driving a legacy truck in forever. I'll take it. Thank to Thomas Coonan for the great paint scheme, and yeah, maybe I'll race next week. I'm on a part-time, but after this run I might consider full-time. So we had a fun race. Definitely had a lot of speed. Just needed to find a little bit more. But congratulations, Zach. Thanks to all my sponsors on the truck, JFR, SimPulse, NASCAR Xfinity products, and maybe I'll try to chase a victory sometime later this season.
Well, you mentioned finding the grip tonight, and not a lot of times you get a chance to run with these trucks here. Your first race of the season, so you came in almost head first with almost no experience to back you up there. What was it like trying to figure out how the truck drove as the race went on?
We just kind of had to free ball it. I mean, I just kind of went out there and figured out how to drive it, and apparently I figured out good because we got a P2 and had a chance to get Zach there in the first half of the race, but couldn't get it done. It's kind of hard to pass here, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I don't know what the rest of the field's looking like, but I just couldn't get past anyone. I mean, I closed up to him, and then I don't know if it was dirty air or he just screw up, but definitely very hard to pass here in my experience. No complaints though. Had a lot of fun today, and yeah, I don't know if he was just finding grip or he was just doing something that I wasn't doing, but definitely just flat out beat us. I mean, you know me, I'm a dirt racer, so I mean, part of the reason I did so was probably because it felt like a dirt car. I was sliding everywhere, but controlled sliding, that's where we're going fast, and yeah, felt like a dirt race. If anything, felt like we were at freaking mini Knoxville or something. So had a great time today, and congratulations to Zach, and hopefully be back next week to finally find get a little grip on the track. So yep, that's about it.
Cash, before we let you go, if you have any final shout-outs you'd like to give, make sure to let us hear them now.
SimPulse Paintworks, Beckman Designs, HSF Fixed Setups, Fast Cast Racing Products, Prince Valley Transportation, Autry's Diesel Service, Aiden Donahue, thanks for letting me race on your account. JJ, everyone back at the JFR shop, Thomas Coonan for the great paint scheme and the setup, and you for broadcasting, and everyone that puts on the show and gives us a place to race. So thanks everyone, and thanks to most importantly of all, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So
that being said, Cash Culp, second place on the day. We thank you for stopping by.
Sir, thank you.
Cash on the move. One more driver we'd like to speak to today, and Jake Hanlevic, who had perhaps the most quiet of all the top threes today, coming through, nevertheless, with a podium. Jake, you were up and down the order all night long, as low as 11th, and you eventually got up to your race high of 3rd for podium here in Richmond. How you feeling?
I gotta say, I wasn't exactly sure what to expect coming into this because practice, the truck was so loose. But during the race, it actually tightened up. and it felt pretty good actually. The longer the race went on, for me anyway, the more worn the tires got, the better I felt driving it. So I was actually kind of disappointed to see those cautions come out because I was catching people at that point. But I'm glad that I was able to get back on the lead lap. Didn't go down too many laps from the initial accident that happened, and this is the highest position I finished all season so far, so I'm real happy with that.
Getting a season high is such a tricky track, a big deal, of course, in the long term, but tonight we're only in the second race of our season, so there's a lot of time to go from here. Richmond, the start of a little bit of a short track swing. We're going to another next week that might be even trickier, but you might have some experience coming in, but maybe not with these legacy trucks. Daytona, of course, drives pretty similar most everywhere, but here in Richmond, we don't really know exactly what to expect. You're talking about big changes in regards to how the truck was handling from the practice to the race. You think there's something in particular that helped you out with adapting to it? Because it seems like eventually you got your hold on it.
I think the big thing was just not pushing the truck too hard off the start. I saw a lot of guys just driving it real hard into the corner, and then about 20, 30 laps in, they were too tight. They couldn't make the entry anymore without slowing way down. And then that also caused them to go tight out of the corner, so they couldn't push it real hard without hitting that wall. So I've always been a big proponent of just be consistent, don't be fast, and you'll get where you need to get. And that's seemed to work out for me today.
And it looks like being consistent is exactly what you needed. Now, next up, we mentioned USA International Speedway. Maybe not a track you drive too often in anything, let alone these legacy trucks. So another big question mark coming up next on the table. How do you think you're going to handle that circuit when it comes up next Friday?
You know, I don't have any experience on this track in this truck, so I'm going to have to put some time in to figure out what exactly I need to do. I think we're going to work a little harder to get the setup a little better, so that way it feels a little more stable throughout the whole race. And we'll just see what happens come race day, but I'm just hoping for the best.
We're hoping to see another great run for the entire field, of course, USA. But tonight, Jake, third for your performance and first podium of this young season. So if you have any final thoughts you'd like to add, make sure to let us hear them.
This is a good league. A lot of good people, a lot of people here to help. So if someone's been wanting to run just trucks in general, want to dip your toes into it, it's a free truck. So the more the merrier. Everybody seems to be enjoying it, and everybody that I've heard loves you broadcasting for us as well. So we really appreciate that as well.
Well, with that being said, Jake, great to have you here and a great run for the number 37 crew rounding out the podium in Richmond. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Just like that, it's going to be Jake Handlovic on his way. And that's a word from all of our top three tonight. What a run it was. Jake Handlovic in third, Cash Culp in second, but there was no driver, unlike the number 99. Zach Saunders led 120 laps. He led every lap on the day from the pole and comes home with a grand slam in the second race of the season. A great way to open up his campaign with a dominant performance, and Saunders comes through tonight with the checkered flag in tow as he finishes the night off of racing here for the virtual Richmond Raceway. With that being said, of course, we thank you all for watching live on FTN. Tonight's coverage here from the virtual Richmond Raceway in the PRA Southeast 120. It was a thriller, and we hope you enjoyed. Of course, the championship here in the Legacy Truck Series will keep on going, and up next it will be the USA International Raceway as they head up into Lakeland, Florida for a total of more than 100 plus laps, again, of short track action. So we'd love to have you there once more. That's always an exciting circuit. We've never done it before with the Legacy Trucks, however, so we'll figure out how it goes in real time. You've been watching the PRA Legacy Truck Series, brought to you by SimPulse Paintworks. I've been your host for tonight's broadcast, David Kreutz, commentating and producing. If you enjoyed, make sure you leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always immensely appreciated here from all the FTN team. And if you want to join the racing fun and check out the PRA Legacy Truck Series or any other FTN league, well, we'd love to have you join. Check out the official FTN Discord here, and you can join the fun by becoming a member of any of the leagues that we broadcast, or if you'd like to, you can become a driver running with us here in FTN, regardless of league, PRA, or otherwise. And you can check out the behind-the-scenes action as a viewer or broadcaster as well. Thank you all for watching tonight's coverage of the PRA Southeastern 120, and we hope you all have a fantastic night.